guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be a little bit different. As you all know, I upload what's for dinner videos every single Sunday, but I'm thinking of starting a new series and I want to hear what you guys think in the comments down below. Kenny and I, in the last couple of months, we have been doing an at-home date night once a week where I make a dinner after the kids go to bed. I usually make it something a little bit nicer and we basically do an at-home date night. And I'm thinking about incorporating this into a video, so go ahead and let me know down in the comments if you'd like to see me do this as a weekly series, like maybe every single Friday do a what's for dinner date night edition, which is exactly what we are doing today. So for this date night dinner, I did 2 Olive Garden Copycat recipes. I did a Olive Garden fettuccine with some shrimp and it was super delicious. And then I also did a Copycat Olive Garden breadsticks recipe and they were super delicious. So I'm gonna go ahead and share those with you today. Go ahead and hit that little subscribe button if you have not already. Give this video a thumbs up and let's get started on the cooking. So we are going to start off by making the Copycat Olive Garden breadsticks. I have 1 1/4 teaspoons of yeast in my mixer, and then I'm just adding in 2 tablespoons of regular sugar, as well as 1 cup of warm water, and you're just going to kind of mix this together and let it sit for about 5 to 10 minutes until all that yeast gets really nice and bubbly. And once your yeast is activated and ready to go, you're going to be adding in the rest of your ingredients. You're going to need 1 1/2 teaspoons of salt. You're also going to need 3 tablespoons of oil. I just used vegetable oil. And then I also added in a couple cups of the flour. I did start off with 2 cups. The recipe calls for 3 1/4 cup. But I like to gradually add mine in, so I just start off with the 2 cups and then I gradually add it in by about 1/4 cup until I've reached the consistency that I want. This is the consistency that I always go for when I'm making any sort of dough. You don't want it to be sticky, but you also don't want it to be like super hard and dry. So that's what you're kind of aiming for. And then you're just going to oil a glass bowl, put your dough in there, and then you're going to kind of flip it over so both sides of the dough are coated. And then you're just going to put this in a warm spot to rise for about an hour. After your dough has doubled in size, you're just gonna punch it down and then flip it out onto like a cutting board, or you can just pull it right out of the bowl if you want to do it that way. But I do like to kind of cut mine out and divide it into 12 different pieces so that my breadsticks actually end up similar in size. They're not perfect by any means, nothing is perfect, but I do kind of eyeball it that way and it works out pretty well. So I usually will cut this amount of dough into about 12 pieces and then I just go ahead and shape them out into nice long breadsticks. Do make sure that you spray your pan so that they don't stick, and then when you're all done with this step, you're going to let them rise again for 1 more hour and they will be ready to bake. So this is what the Olive Garden breadsticks should look like after you've shaped them and rolled them out. Like I said before, they are not perfect by any means. We're not going for perfection, but they do taste super, super good. And this is what they look like when they're ready to go in the oven after they've risen a little bit more. The oven should be at 425 degrees and then go in for about 12 to 14 minutes until they're nice and golden brown on top. And then when you pull them out, you're going to be putting a little bit of melted butter on top with some garlic salt. And these are super delicious. They taste just like the breadsticks that you'd get at the actual restaurant. Highly recommend this recipe. I will have it linked down below. And And then to go with the breadsticks, of course, I had to make some sort of pasta, and I'm doing another copycat recipe. I'm just making a shrimp fettuccine Alfredo. It was super delicious in another Olive Garden recipe, so I will have that one linked down below. But you're just gonna melt an entire stick of butter and then add a couple tablespoons of cream cheese. You're also gonna need 2 tablespoons of flour, 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, and you're also gonna need a teaspoon of salt. And then you're just gonna whisk all of this together. This did take a little bit to break everything down and melt everything into a sauce, but it was so worth it. The sauce was super full of flavor and really, really delicious. And then you'll add in your 2 cups of heavy cream. You do kind of want to mix this in gradually and just let it thicken as it goes. I added mine in a couple different cup increments and it worked really, really well that way. I felt like the sauce was super nice and thick. I turned my sauce down to low, and then I'm adding in the shredded cheese. The recipe called for about half a cup of this Italian style Italian blend shredded cheese. I just eyeballed it. I probably added a little bit more than half a cup, and I thought it tasted really, really good, so that's what I would recommend doing. And the recipe did say that if you felt like your sauce was a little bit too thick, you can go ahead and add in a 1/4 cup of milk. And that is exactly what I did. And I felt like this was the perfect consistency for this fettuccine Alfredo. I decided to pair our fettuccine Alfredo with a little bit of shrimp. So I just did a little bit of olive oil in the pan, and then I added in some shrimp with a little bit of salt, pepper, and garlic powder. I always like to keep our seasoning super simple when I make shrimp. Just really nice and easy. Fry it up in a pan, and that is really all that I did for this shrimp. At the end, I did add about a tablespoon of butter and then fried it up for a couple more minutes. I feel like that gives it just so much flavor with not a lot of extra stuff on there, but that is always how I make our shrimp. It's just really simple and easy and delicious. For the pasta, I went with a very classic noodle. We just did your normal fettuccine for a fettuccine Alfredo, but I've made this before with like penne pasta. I've made it with so many different types. It's even good with just like spaghetti noodles, but you can use whatever you would like, but just get those noodles cooked up. And then to serve it up, of course, we did the noodles on bottom, sauce on top with the shrimp on top of that. Served it with the breadstick on the side, and this was such a yummy date night meal. I would highly recommend it. Well, that is it for this What's for Dinner date night edition. I hope that you enjoyed it and that it maybe gave you some ideas of things that you can do at home, recipes that you can make for your at-home date nights right now, since none of us can really go out and about. If you'd like to see this as a weekly series on my channel, make sure you let me know down in the comments below. Give this video a thumbs up so I know that you liked it, and I will see you guys next time. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.